up, guys? So coming here this morning, Keith Thurman's coming off of a 12-round majority decision over Josecito Lopez back on January 26th, where he retained his WBA super welterweight world title. Not that in terms of what people thought was gonna, happen, not that impressive of a win, because I think a lot of people thought he was going to score a big knockout here. I'm kind of giving him a hall pass on this one because he hadn't fought in 2 years. So it's kind of tough to say. He did score a knockdown. He did hurt Lopez, but Lopez proved to be tough, as he always has. Tougher than people thought he was going to be. And, it was just a good, solid fight. I don't think yet we need to start judging Thurman for the performance. So the question, what's next for Keith Thurman? And he's got a lot of options. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao needs to be his primary focus right now, because if he can land a Pacquiao fight, that's a once-in-a-lifetime fight. Personally, I think it's a 50-50 fight if he were to get it. I think it could go either way. I think Pacquiao right now is weighing his options, but if he ever thought he could beat Thurman, I think now's the time to go after him, especially with the way Thurman looked against Lopez. Maybe he's vulnerable, and I would love to see that fight. So obviously, that's the top fight for Thurman to look at right now. Now, the other options that I see on the table. Personally, I think Thurman, let's look at the top five. Let's start with a rematch with Danny Garcia. Not a bad option, but with the way he looked against Lopez, I wouldn't do it. I think Thurman should try to get back. If he cannot land a Pacquiao fight next, he needs to try to get back as soon as possible. With Garcia fighting in April, it's going to be almost 3 months after Thurman's fight by the time Garcia fights. And then Garcia's really testing himself against Adrian Granados. So you got to figure, say Garcia comes out of that win, how long is it going to be for Garcia to be ready? This is not the most active guy either. Garcia fights, every 6, 7, 8 months. He doesn't really get, 4 or 5 months, 3 months notice. Thurman needs to stay busy, and I don't think Garcia is a good option for him right now. Number 4, Sean Porter. Next up, Sean Porter, WBC champ, rematch here. I think this is a dangerous fight for Keith right now to go and try to unify belts against Porter. It's a huge challenge. I would give him a ton of credit, but he barely beat Porter the first time around. It was very close. He did win, in my opinion. I gave him the fight. I had the same score that all the judges had, 7-5. But man, did he get pushed to the limit in that fight. And he was at his best, kind of flowing at that point. After the way he looked against Lopez, I think that would be a huge mistake to get into the ring with Porter right now, even though it'd be unifying belts. Next up, Errol Spence. I just think this fight is too dangerous for him right now. Spence scores a big win over Mikey Garcia. Let's build to this fight right here. I think these two guys, with the PBC being, dominant at the welterweight division, they could clean things up and set up a huge mega fight. Because I still think at the end of the day that these two guys are the best at, in the front from the PBC. I don't think Thurman would beat Terrence Crawford, but I think out of the PBC fighters, Errol Spence and Keith Thurman are the two best. So I say clean everything up. Hopefully Thurman gets Pacquiao. Spence should beat Mikey Garcia. And then, let maybe Danny and Sean Porter fight again in a rematch. These two guys maybe make mandatory defenses next, something like that. And build towards a super fight next year. But, just got to wait and see on that one. But I don't think you should take Spence as an option now. And, obviously Terrence Crawford isn't an option for him either, because he's over there on ESPN and fighting for Top Rank, so I don't see this fight happening. But to be honest, what do I think? What do I believe Keith Thurman should do next? I believe he should take another kind of, not necessarily a setup fight, but a guy, maybe a top 15 type fighter, top 10, top 15 type guy. Because they have so many options with the PBC. I think the winner of Lamont Peterson, Sergey Lipinets, if they can come back quick, I think that'd be an interesting opponent for Thurman next, but a beatable one. I think Andre Berto, Devin Alexander, or Victor Ortiz would be interesting opponents for Thurman. When you take 2 years off, you can't expect the guy to come back and be same old self right off the bat. I really think if people want to see Thurman at a high level, they need to give him one more fight to look good in, and to try to shake off that ring rust. And that's what I think he should do next. I think Andre Berto would be a perfect opponent for him next, or any of those other guys. He shouldn't feel pressured into a big fight, unless, of course, it's against Manny Pacquiao. Like I said, that's a once-in-a-lifetime fight. You almost have to take that one. But, yeah, that's what I think he needs to do. I'm a big fan of Thurman, and I think he should be smart about it and not listen to the hype and jump back